Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in. Today I wanted to speak about what it was like being in the army. And so I wasn't in the army a long time. I was in the army for about 8 months. Actually got recycled, so I did basic training for about, I would say I would say about 3.5 months, maybe almost 4 months. And throughout the army process, I was just going through it. Basic training wasn't horrible, wasn't great. Um, Definitely my ego collided with a lot of the higher ups and staff members just because, uh, you know, when you grow up how I grew up, I think your environment dictates a lot of how you behave and how you act, and you have to have this ego, you have to have this thing about you that pushes you to be great, pushes you to not take anything, pushes you to excel. And that's another reason why I go so hard when it comes to like my finances and getting things in order, is because I don't want to have to accept any job. When I go to my employer, I always ask for the most that they can offer, if not even more than what they're offering, right? Even the job that I'm doing now offered me $10,000 more than the listing price for the job, right? And so, when I apply for something, I'm going to get that maximum value is because I demand it. I command it because I've set myself up financially to where I don't take anything less. And so that type of environment where you have someone who's 3, 4 years older than you, trying to instruct you, trying to drill you, which is all good and dandy, but when the respect is not there, how can I trust somebody like that with my life and, things like that? And that's not every single drill sergeant, right? You have those who are much more personable, and show you that you can put your trust in them to lead you, right? I've left my family, I've left my home, I've left all my resources, and I put my life in your hands. How do you show me that you're worth listening to? You're worth leading me into war and battle. And so I didn't see that from a lot of the drill sergeants there, and it's hard to adopt their philosophies when that trust is already broken and missing. Why would I put my life in your hands? Now, when you sign up for something like that, I've already put in my mind that I'm willing to trust, I'm willing to, do whatever it takes to keep my friends, family, and people and comrades alive, right? And there has to be some level of don't give a F in me to even want to sign up for something like that. And you know, I now want to give more of a F in my life going forward because of that experience. Like, to put myself in that situation in the first place meant that the value of my own life to myself wasn't as much as I believe it should have been. But in the process of going through the army, you do meet some decent people, some decent human beings, people who respect you, people who, help you in terms of working out, staying in shape, staying fit, which has allowed me to regain my physical fitness and get back to where I want to be. And, through the ups and downs or whatever, in all honesty, the army has helped me in some ways, right? They did not give me a horrible discharge. They did not, um, you know, try to do anything negative towards me in any way, shape, or form. Um, Everyone has an ego, but they did not let that get the better of them, and I did not let it get the better of me. At the end of the day, I realized that these people are people, and that I should have the same respect for them as I would anyone else. And in doing so, my life turned out for the better, right? And so I was in Oklahoma, which is called Suicide Seal. There are people who unfortunately unalive themselves in those camps, I would say. And I did see some people who seem to have experienced some psychological damage and were willing to do more than other people would do. Uh, I myself, although I would never think of committing such a atrocity, um, I was gaming the system at one point and knew that if I did X, Y, and Z, what that outcome would be for me, because they don't want anything to happen to me on their watch. So I knew how I could get out of the Army if I wanted to during basic. I did an attempt at that. And then later on, I decided to withdraw my decision to leave the Army and continue basic training, because I just figured, I'm already here. We're almost done. I want to move through it. And, but without saying too much, basically, if I wanted to have left during basic training, I could have. And it's them assuming my mental state of mind, which they should assume that way that they did, my mental state. However, I was not in any mental danger or anything like that, but it's hard to tell. And if someone else had did that in my position, and if I were in their position, I would have definitely went ahead with discharging that soldier, because I don't want that type of responsibility on my hands, right? So eventually I decided to stick it out, and they were willing to take that chance to meet their quotas as well. I graduate basic training. We go to Fort Sam Houston, where I was going for licensed practical nursing LPN. Now, I was making more money in the outside world, even with having my property as an investment property. I was still making less money in the Army. Being away from family, I normally would only see my family twice a year, but it came a point where, I didn't even have a ability to contact my family, because as soon as I would review my finances and my bank account and my emails and check on business, my 30 minutes was up. All I could do was probably call my mom with the limited amount of time that I had, and we would talk for 5 minutes at the most. And so it was very, very difficult to, have a right frame of mind where basically I've literally given up my family for a long period of time for absolutely no reason at all, but to assume a better life for myself. In Fort Sam Houston, because I had a pre-med degree, I graduated with a biology degree. I assumed that I was ready to take on the challenge of an LPN. Obviously, I passed the test to be qualified to take the course. But what I realized is that you needed a prior knowledge in the hospital setting in order to pass that course. So without the knowledge of the tools being used, the grammar being used, the hospital appliances being used, the crash course that was given in the LPN training was a little too much for me. And I don't think I was really taking it as seriously as I should have as well. I believe you needed at least a 78 to pass or 80 to pass just to get through. And I was getting like a 77, 75. So it was not good enough in order to pass the exams. So with the lack of family support, with the lack of money, which was the biggest impact on me, honestly, I thought that I could take less money for the housing that I was given, for my rental property to be getting paid by another tenant, to sell my car and not have to drive and have 3 square meals a day. But honestly, just losing $400 to $500 a month was not cutting it for me. I was mentally frustrated about that. And if I was 18, would I have stayed? Absolutely. There is absolutely no way I wouldn't have stayed in the Army, because I probably wouldn't have been making the money that I was making outside the way I would have been making it in the Army. But because I was 21, 22, and I had made so much more than this, it was just like, wow, why am I subjugated to not drinking, subjugated to not speaking to my family? And now I'm not even in the LPN program, and I'm making $500 less a month, $6,000 less a year. There's no reason for me to be here. And so, I opted to end up leaving the Army rather than taking on a profession or a job that I didn't want. Now, a lot of the drill sergeants ask me, why would I join the Army if my life was so good? And, that was a valid question. Well, I was in management. I'm currently back in management. But what I really wanted to do was I wanted to take my life away from management. I wanted less responsibility in that regard. And I also wanted less physically demanding work than what I was doing. Always on my feet 10, 12 hours a day, which I am back to doing again. But I wanted to be an LPN and utilize that degree that I've had. Not realizing that, again, I would still be on my feet 10 to 12 hours a day, still doing a lot of hard work. And honestly, any job that I've ever picked in my life requires me to work super, super hard physically and mentally. I've never really had an office job outside of being a home lending advisor at Chase, which was really, really great. And it paid very, very well because I got great commissions during the refinancing period in 2022. However, as the interest rates have gone up, there were several layoffs, and now 90% of the refinance business in the home industry is completely decimated, is completely non-existent. There is absolutely no one refinancing at this time. And so when I was let go from Chase because of that, I did seek other opportunities. However, I found that management was definitely going to be the best path for me, and I needed to stop blocking my own blessings and go and get what was mine. And people were paying top dollar for managers right now, and I had 3 different job offers at the same time for management. And so I realized that there was absolutely nothing for me to do but to dive into what I know I'm good at and what people demand of me. And so I'm back in management now, and I actually love it, right? You just got to choose the right job for you. Every single job is going to want you to work as many hours as possible for that same paycheck. They're going to want you to be on your feet as many hours as possible to support your team. And, you got to do what you got to do in order to make it happen. And so really, I just wanted a change of career. I wanted to be able to go to management anytime I wanted or go into the healthcare industry anytime I wanted. And because of COVID, I felt like this was a bulletproof plan just in case some type of pandemic were to happen again. And they didn't need managers, well, I could be an LPN. They didn't need LPNs, well, I can be a manager. And that way, before I started a family or anything like that, I would have this security blanket, right? I'm the type of guy who likes very different security structures. And so if I can secure my life in this area, and if that decides to fall apart and break apart, well, I can secure my life in this area with the drop of a hat, and my family will not be under any financial pressure or uncertainty, right? I don't have to be scrambling to find work. The work will find me because I am just so qualified in all these different areas. And that's what I really wanted. I wanted a bulletproof plan to ensure that my family would be good whenever I decided to start a family. And so that was worth me losing $200, $300, $400 at the time to guarantee that. But once that wasn't guaranteed, once the LPN school was no longer guaranteed, I said, man, let me go and get this bread. Let me go and get this money on the outside world. Let me be able to drink alcohol when I want to drink alcohol. Let me be able to wake up when I want to wake up. And I still can't wake up when I want to wake up. I wake up at 6 a.m. every single day to get to work. And you got to do what you got to do. But do I have to do that? No. I've put myself in a financial position where I don't have to do that, but I do it anyway because I want to maximize my opportunities. And one way to do that is by always, going after it and going to get it. So that was my Army experience in a nutshell. I definitely did not go into too much detail, but I wanted to just give you some insight on why I decided to join, why I decided to leave, and where I'm at now currently. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace, and see you on the next one.